Okay, let's talk about some additional things that the engineers have afforded us with the Automixer block. Let's say, for example, we not only need to mix microphones, but we also have a CD player. Let's assume that input 9 and 10 over here are a CD player. So what we want to do is first we'll probably need a level control for the CD player. So let's grab a level control and we'll place it down here. And we'll cover this in a future video, so I'll go quickly and just make it a 2-channel level control. We'll gang it together. We'll take the two connections here and connect it across, and then we'll come over here and we'll lower our Automixer down so that I can make some connections. But one of the things we need to do is we need to now change it from an 8-channel Automixer to a 10-channel Automixer. So we can right-click on a block and it'll bring back up the option of Edit Block Parameters, and this brings us back to our dialog box that we had when we first dropped the box in. And what we want to do is we want to change it to a 10x1. And we are going to hit OK. And that allows us 2 more inputs that I can connect these two and bring them across. And then we'll slide this up just a little bit to make it nice and neat. And I had to use the up arrow and align these, and so it all looks pretty. Now let's look at the Automixer. In the earlier video, we talked about how you can right-click on any one cross point and get more settings. So let's go down to channel 9 and right-click on it and hit Edit Channel Settings. Now we want to take that channel and make it a manual channel and take it out of the number of open microphone gain. The manual channel means that it is mixing in after the auto mixing circuitry, and out of the NOM is the number of open microphone gain that we discussed in the last video on the Automixer. This process reduces the output of the Automixer based on the number of open microphones. Well, in this case it's a CD player, so we do not want it affecting the number of microphones. So now that we have made channel 9 a manual channel and an out of the NOM attenuation, we will hit OK, and we'll go down to channel 10 and we will edit the channels on that one. We'll make it manual and take it out of the NOM and hit OK. So now at this point we have an 8-channel microphone Automixer with a 2-channel mixer downstream mixing everything into the mix output. Some of the advantages of using the Automixer to mix both our microphone signals and our line level signals are that we save DSP resources because we use only one mixer. Instead of using an Automixer and then downstream another standard mixer or a matrix mixer to mix in our music sources or our line level sources, we are all in one block. Secondly, if we want to combine Automixers using a Automix combiner block, which we'll discuss in a future video, or we want to combine Automixers using the room combiner block, which also we'll discuss in another video, then we will need to connect the output of the Automixer directly to that mix combiner or the room combiner to get that information talking backwards into the Automixer to make multiple Automixers combine and work as if one. So let's look at a few other options that are available to us in the Automixer. Let's go back and right-click on it and hit Edit Block Parameters and go back to the beginning. And you see some other options that we did not check. One of the first ones is Enable Direct Outputs. This allows us to, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. This allows us to have a direct output for every microphone and our 2 line sources in this case, and then a mixed output. So we have our full mix, but we also have direct outputs for all of our inputs on the left side. The advantage of this is that allows us to do things like take them and do a matrix mixer to do mix minus, where we have this microphone more in one speaker and less in the next speaker and less in the next speaker and less in the next speaker, and we can send them to different places and different routing, etc. Another option is that we can come afterwards and add a level control block. Let's say we want to come up here and control the microphone levels. So we'll come over here and we'll grab an 8-channel level control block and we'll drop that in after the Automixer, and that allows us to have microphone volume control where we can actually set, say, the maximum to go up to 4 decibels and the minimum to go to -20. And that would give us an ability to set a maximum and a minimum, control the microphone level, but not do it before the auto mixing circuitry, because we never want to, remember, we never want to put it before the auto mixing circuitry, as we discussed in the previous video, because it will mess up the adaptive threshold and the ability of the Automixer to sense the levels in all the room and adjust and gate open microphones accordingly. So let's look at another option. Now that we have the individual channels direct out, let's right click Edit Block Parameters again, and one of the things that we have is a logic out count. Now if you just hit the down arrow one time, you'll have just as many logic outs as you do microphones. And this is also good to use for triggering things such as camera presets. So when the microphone gates open, we can trigger a camera. Another thing that I use it for regularly is just to meter and see which microphones are open. It's a good troubleshooting tool. So I'll hit OK here, and we'll notice across the bottom we now have logic outputs. Several blocks in the Nexia system have the ability to either output logic, which would be on the bottom, or input logic, which would be on the top. In this case, the Automixer can output logic and show us or trigger things based off of which microphones are open. In this case, I want to just use it as a meter. So I'm going to come up here to my meters, and I'm going to grab a logic meter, and I'm going to drop it on the screen, and I'm going to choose 10 channels because I have 10 channels in my Automixer. Hit OK. Bring this down here, and then drag a square around just like I always do, and it'll be the left one, and that brings it across. And then I can open up the logic meter. I could rename these as mic 1 and mic 2, etc. I won't take time to do that now, but we can minimize it on the screen, and just like our meters, we can put it up here as a control. And we can see as the microphones gate open, we will see the light turn bright blue and then go dark blue when the microphone goes off. Just a troubleshooting tool to see that you have good gain structure, your microphones are gating on and off properly. Also, in the Automixer, when we have direct outs, we have a few more options that we need to check on. When we right click on the cross point and we hit Edit Channel Settings, before we talked about in the manual and the NOM, and we talked about the off attenuation in the previous video and the gate hold time. But let's talk about the direct output settings here. There is a post-gate pre-NOM setting, and there is a post-gate post-NOM setting. The post-gate post-NOM setting would be used if we are mixing all of these microphones downstream into one speaker system. Just as we've discussed before, with the number open microphone gain is to accommodate for the buildup that happens when every time we double the number of microphones into a speaker system, we lose 3 decibels of headroom. When we would want to use the post-gate pre-NOM for the direct outputs is when we are taking each microphone and routing them to different speaker systems, once again in say a mix minus type orientation. So in this case, if we set them all to post-gate post-NOM, because we're going to mix them all into one speaker system later, I can hit Set All. The only problem is I have now once again taken all of my channels, including my CD player, and set them back to auto mixing with inclusion into the NOM setting. So let's select that, and then we'll go down here, and then we'll override those for channel 9. We'll edit the channel settings, and we'll go to the NOM, and we'll put it in manual, and we'll turn off Set All, and we'll go to 10, and we'll edit channel settings. We'll go to manual, turn off the NOM, and we'll hit OK. So now we can go back and check that the first one still is in the NOM and is post-gate post-NOM. So there are some of the options that we have available to us, and if we go back into the mic options, we can now turn on and enable those logic outputs to follow the mic gating, and that's so our meters will work. Well, that is about covering all the options for the Automixer, and next video we'll move into speaker processing.